You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Hey Ramblers, today's episode is brought to you by Fangoria. Since 1979, Fangoria has been the authority in the world of contemporary horror. As the only sanctuary for horror aficionados in its early days, it has now grown into an empire that expands beyond its celebrated magazine. From t-shirts, coffee mugs, beanies, enamel pins, there's something for every horror fanatic in your world, even if it's you. So head on over to shop.fangoria.com/pencil and paper productions or use code pencil and paper productions at checkout to get 20% off your first order or magazine subscription. Yes, it is a mouthful, which is why there are links in the show notes down below. That's shop.fangoria.com/pencil and paper productions or code pencil and paper productions at checkout for 20% off. Fangoria, first in fright since 1979.
Buy it or we'll tear your soul apart.
You're listening to the Horror Ramblings podcast, the show about all things horror. We hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Horror Ramblings podcast, the show brought to you, well, by all things horror. Let's just keep it simple today. You know, I'm excited because it's September, and this episode, if you're listening to it the day that it came out, just so happens to be Friday the 13th, which is phenomenal. It is spooky season eve. It is Halloween Eve. This whole month is. I don't care what anybody says. This whole month is Halloween preparation month. And yes, we need a whole month. I don't care what anybody says. It's basically 2 months because you get all of October too. But let's be honest, by the time October rolls around, I'm itching to wear my Freddy outfit everywhere I go. Doesn't work well when you're picking your kid up from school. Let's just put it that way.
Sure.
How you doing?
I see where that could be a problem.
How you doing today, Steven?
Doing all right. I'm trying to let some life shit just roll off my back as best I can, and then I'm tired. You know, you want to know why I'm tired? Because we went to the drive-in last night, and, you know, they do double features, and you get late before you get home, and then you're just wired from the movie, and then the caffeine that you probably consumed, because I had one of those big, I knew I shouldn't have had so much Coke, but I did. And sure enough, I was tossing and turning, trying to get to sleep, and I was like, I'm awake.
Coincidentally, there's two kinds of Coke, and they both do that to people. Steve was talking about the drink, obviously, but...
I am talking about the drink, yes. So, Coca-Cola. Let me try to be a little bit more precise about it.
You know, that drink that created Santa the way that he is today so that they could sell more soda during the holiday season. There's a whole big documentary. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So you went to the drive-in. What movies did you see, if you don't mind me asking?
Two that I do kind of want to touch on just ever so briefly. Did see Beetlejuice. That was the main reason for going.
Okay.
We had watched the original the day before, just to, you know, to kind of have that refresher, say, okay, our mind is pretty fresh, see if there's any kind of nods and winks and everything like that. There are some, but I can appreciate so much that they tried to just not redo the first movie.
Yeah.
You know, because they could have easily fallen into that trap and just be like, just do it, but it's new, you know, like
right.
The Force Awakens, and we changed just things ever so slightly. Again, it's a fine movie, I'm just saying. But with this, it felt like they were trying to go into different territories. They were trying to expand this world a little bit and get you to understand different facets of it and things like that. And for the most part, it works. But at the same time, Katrina and I even kind of pointed this out as we were listening to or talking about it after the fact. They felt like they had a lot of plates spinning. You know what I mean? Like there was just a lot of things going on. So at times it felt a little difficult to maintain focus on where you are in the story because you've got a lot of threads that you're kind of following.
Yeah.
So it can get bogged down with that, but at the same time, you're still entertained by it all.
Yeah.
Like you're invested in the characters, you're invested in everything that's going on. So it's frustrating, but not to the point where you just cannot enjoy the movie. Yeah, you know what I mean?
That was actually one of the reviews that I had seen for it. Somebody said, you know, they said it had the same problem that the newest Ghostbusters movie had. They were trying to tell so many stories at one time that it didn't really feel like they were able to fully commit to each story the way that they should. But but I've heard the same thing across the board. No matter what kind of fan of Beetlejuice you are, it's a fun movie. Like,
yeah,
Tim Burton understood that it was important for people to have fun with the film. I heard Michael Keaton is still fantastic as Beetlejuice. He's not as bouncy because he's a lot older than he was, but I heard he really makes up for it because of some of the jokes and things like that. I actually just watched a review of it. The guy didn't spoil it or anything, but the guy basically said he had watched the original Beetlejuice for the first time before he had gone and seen Beetlejuice. And he said, I understand why it was a popular movie in the 80s. He's like, honestly, out of a score of 10, he's like, I only gave it like a 4.5 or a 5 out of 10. He's like, this one, I'd give like a 7 or an 8. He's like, I don't know what it was about this one. He's like, I felt like this is a universe that they should build upon even more.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, did you guys at least like, did you enjoy it? Is it a movie that you would watch again?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like this is not one that is a one and done. I would definitely like to watch it again, mainly because I felt like I missed a few things because of the drive-in setting. Yeah, I should have brought my glasses. There was a scene where they did subtitle backstory, and I was sitting there going, "What? I can't." And squinting, and I was like, "I can't read what he's saying." That's all right. So there are a few things I felt like I missed, but I think for most of the time you get to the theater, you're just kind of in it and you just kind of absorb the movie as your first viewing. You may miss a lot of details, and I feel like that's what I want to watch it again for, is to really absorb anything that I may have missed.
I did see I try to avoid spoilers, but they seem to find me, and I don't seem to try to avoid them too badly. But I did see a pretty funny scene with a little baby Beetlejuice. And it looks like this movie's not afraid to shy away from a little bit of gore, which is nice.
Yeah, it was. Now, keep in mind, if you remember, the original film was rated PG.
Yeah.
Now, this was after PG-13 was implemented. Surprising that it was, if you think about it, because it's dealing with some pretty macabre material, like suicide and death and just all of it. And some of the makeup work in Beetlejuice, it's that fine line of grotesque, but you can't not look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's fascinating at the same time. And here, I feel like they still kind of stick to that aesthetic. They kind of amp it up. And yes, there was a little bit more gore and things like that they tried to push. Like, for example, without going into great detail, I know that I'm sure it's a known fact. Spoiler, but not really, because that's kind of the plot they're laying out as the point of the movie in the trailers, is that Lydia's father has passed.
Yeah.
And his dead body is a sight to behold, to say the least.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty gruesome, when you actually see it, you'll know what I'm talking about, and you're like, oh, god damn.
Well, and they did that.
Okay.
They did that for a reason, I mean.
Yeah, 100%. So we won't get into this. If you want to know about Jeffrey Jones, just Google it.
I did hear that Danny DeVito is actually in this movie for, like, not like a huge part, but he is in the movie, so...
Yeah, it's like a little cameo. It's like he's a janitor or something like that in the underworld.
I think that's cool that he just kind of slips into things. I'm still bummed we didn't get a Wolverine Danny DeVito.
I know. Why wouldn't they have done that when he was the little one?
That would have been
hilarious.
Yeah, that would have been just hilarious. And he could have acted like his character in It's Always Sunny. That would have been even better. Which I think that's really how Danny DeVito is. I really do.
Bro, just going around, look at my monster dong.
I just saw a clip from that where they're walking and he's like, "Oh, you're thirsty? Here, have some Gatorade." And he's like, "This tastes like piss." He's like, "Oh, is that the piss one?" Then he's like, "Try this one." And he's like, "Oh God, that's piss too." He's like, "What? They're both piss?"
He's a lunatic.
Oh my God. But yeah, I've heard really good things about Beetlejuice, and I know. And in all honesty, I would not be bummed out if they decided to do maybe one more and made it a trilogy. If they did one that was like Beetlejuice. If they could do it right for another film, because That was my big thing, and I got to give Michael Keaton a lot of props because he had a lot of really strict things that he wanted done if he were to come back, and I guess he talked about those with Tim Burton. Like, he wanted to use as many practical effects as they could. He wanted to build.
They do.
He wanted to build sets. He wanted things to feel natural because Michael Keaton even said he was like, they use so much CGI for everything now.
Yeah.
That it takes away from the film. And I guess everybody that worked on the film, even Jenna Ortega, she said that it was a lot different for her to work on a set with so much practical effects. She's like, it's a lot different than the way she put it. It's a lot different than looking at a tennis ball and them telling you this is your point of reference. And I gotta say, I kind of agree with her. I feel like seeing those practical effects and throwing in a little bit of CGI, which I know this movie does, like we've always said, use them together. It's the best of both worlds. So
100%.
I'm really glad to hear that this movie, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it because I feel like you and I have similar taste with movies for the most part. So if you guys enjoyed it, I'm sure that I'm going to. What was the other movie that you saw?
This was not one that I was really looking forward to for a lot of reasons, but I did it anyway because it was like, well, it's been a while since I've watched one of these movies, and I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. I've stuck to my guns, and I'm going to stick to them again. I watched Trap. I'm not watching M. Night Shyamalan movies anymore.
He hasn't had a good movie.
I can't do it.
He hasn't had a good movie since what? Signs? Maybe?
Even that, I'm starting to question because
the creme de la
that
creme
one I remember
was The Sixth Sense to me.
I have to disagree. It's Unbreakable.
Ooh, yeah.
And
nope, you're right.
Even that, you're
right.
starting to question it, dude. Because at least with with Unbreakable, it's rewatchable. Sixth Sense, once you have that spoiled,
True.
What are you watching it for?
True. Yeah, I never thought about it like that, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it doesn't hit the same anymore. Like you take away that element of surprise, and it's just like, okay, well, I'm just waiting this entire movie to find out that he's dead, and I already know that he's dead. So what am I learning?
True. I didn't think about it like that, but yeah, you're right. And Unbreakable is one of those movies that you can enjoy. Like you really can enjoy it multiple times. I don't know. Maybe he just needs to like fund some movie projects and maybe step away from the directing and the writing and stuff for a while.
I feel like he is like George Lucas. He's got great concepts. He's got great ideas, but he needs someone else to help him mold it into something good.
Yeah.
Because you go back to the original Star Wars movies, and there were other writers and producers and other people helping him get those made. Like even like the other two, where you had different directors who came on board. That's why they feel so fresh and new, because it wasn't just one singular vision. It was like, well, here's his take on it, here's his take on it, and it just works.
So Trapped was that bad, huh?
It turned like we sat there and watched it, and we're just questioning everything as we went along. And then by the end of it, it was like, this felt so unnecessary. Certain things just don't even add up. Like, why in the fuck? If you had, I don't want to spoil it, but to be fair, okay, like I don't want to tear it apart completely. Where it falters, it's the structure of the story. Okay, Josh Hartnett, he's owning that fucking role. I'll give him credit to that all day. Like he's hamming it up, chewing scenery.
Yeah,
he's really giving it his all. And when he goes into dark mode, like I'd love to see him in a better movie in that mindset.
Quick question about him. Have you ever watched the show Penny Dreadful?
No, but Katrina has.
Do yourself a favor if you can take the time to even just binge watch it. He's in it, and he's like a bounty hunter type guy, but he's also got like a terrible secret about himself.
Yeah,
he's basically like a monster. Probably one of my every movie that I had seen him in up until that series, he played kind of a douchebag type character, like, teen movies where he's like, I'm gonna get all the women and blah blah blah, stupid stuff like that.
Sure.
He takes on a completely different persona in this in this series, and the whole reason I watched the series was one of the older characters in it. I cannot think of the actor's name. He's in Doom Patrol. He's the guy that's in charge of everyone in Doom Patrol.
Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, he's like a James Bond type guy, I think. But
he was a Bond.
Well, there we go. See, my brain's braining in the right direction today. But
he was right before Brosnan came on board.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, he's in it, and he's like this wealthy guy that forms this team, and they hunt down these supernatural things. And I love his performance in that. If you want to see him kind of be like that gritty character who's just really cool, like you're really hoping for the best for him in that in something, that is the thing to watch. I'm sad that it kind of ended as quickly as it did, and then the remake show did not do good at all. We won't talk about that. But anyways, back to Trapped. I'm sorry, and his performance was good and everything.
Like he was. And see, this is a really hard thing for me to say too, because I would say watch it for his performance alone, but then you got to sit through 45 or an hour and 45 minutes of this shit. With at least 15 to 20 minutes of this movie could have been omitted because it felt like, say what you want, but it felt like some sort of vanity project for M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, who is a prominent figure in this movie because she's this pop star that they're going to this concert for. And they do a lot of concert shit. Like, at one point, I was like, are we watching a movie or a concert movie? Because we're seeing a lot of singing. We're watching this show. What are we supposed to be watching here? Like, what's the movie? Pick one.
Yeah.
And she even becomes a somewhat prominent character somewhere in the middle of the movie. Like, well, I don't want to say middle to end. You know, like, wasn't like toward the end, but middle to end somewhere in that. She got a bigger role. Like, okay, now we're gonna make her the prime character for a moment. It's like, but why? Why are we following her now? You know, it just doesn't make sense. There's a lot about the movie that just is so frustrating. And then when you really step back and think about it, because the movie is called Trapped for a reason, and when you really think about this elaborate scheme, it doesn't make any sense. It feels so out of place because. At the end of the day, when you get all the facts laid out, it's like, why didn't you just call the police?
Right.
End of story. Come get the motherfucker and then investigate. But you didn't. You set up this whole elaborate ruse to maybe catch him in the act when you could have just arrested him.
That's one of the, that's one of those like common sense horror movie things that you're like, why? Like, we live in a day and age where people have cell phones. If you don't want somebody to use a cell phone, then have something happen in the movie where they can't use their cell phones. I want to see a killer. Here's a pitch. They have cell phone blockers. They have things that scramble the signals. Why not have a serial killer and show them before, like, show a little bit where the killer's up in the attic of a house or something, and they, like, in the middle of nowhere, and they hit a switch, and they turn on their cell phone scrambler, and all of a sudden everybody's phones stop working, and then shit just hits the fan. Like, it's subtle little things that people like us who pay attention to that shit in horror movies would be like, this guy's thinking. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's little things like that. Furthermore, okay, here's a great example of that kind of stupidity that I'm talking about here. There was a scene in the movie where they talked about they had video footage of the suspected killer, right? And they had a few little details of maybe possibly some body scars or marks or tattoos or something that he may or may not have. So he got a radio and he's listening to the police chatter and they're talking about all the suspects and the things that they may or may not have, things to kind of keep an eye out for any suspects. And one happened to be a tattoo that he did have. So again, if you have this information, you could have brought him in for questioning, observed the tattoo, and had your fucking arrest right there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You had proof. You could have seen it. It just, God, it didn't make any sense. Just so much about it just doesn't make any sense. It makes me mad. Furthermore, his dialogue. That's another thing that I've noticed about M. Night Shyamalan is he can't write dialogue for shit because it always feels forced or contrived. And everybody who worked at this arena, they were way too fucking chatty, okay? This is supposed to be a covert operation to catch a serial killer. And everybody's just giving out fucking information. He just walks up to somebody, he's like, hey, so what's going on? And be like, well, I can't tell you, but, and then tells him. And it's like, what? And then he's like, oh, that's cool. Hey, do you have like code signs? Sure, but I'm not supposed to tell you. But you're cool. I'll tell you.
Oh, Jesus.
What? And everybody, even like at first, if it was the people who worked at the arena, sure. Still a little fucked up, but sure. They're not beholden to any rules because they're not cops. But the cops did it too. And it was just like, what the fuck? What? You're the cops!
That makes my brain hurt.
Yeah, people, he got the information he needed just to progress the story. You know what I mean? And it did not feel natural in any way. When you do those little natural bits where something comes back around, that's the chef's kiss. You know, you plan a little, like we were talking about that with Beetlejuice. I think that was one of the things that we even compared between the movies is how, all right, so in the original Beetlejuice, you hear the lady at the desk when the Maitlands get down into the underworld. She's like, I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have had my little accident. And you're just like, well, what does that mean? And then later on in the movie, you hear Otho talking about how those who commit suicide become civil servants. And you're like, okay. You connected dots without saying it outright. Shyamalan doesn't do that. He's just like, hey, here's a fact. And there you go. And that's going to come into play later. So sing on to it. That's literally how it feels. And it's like, but that doesn't make sense right now. Yeah. You're just saying shit.
It's like he wants to tell a story. And like you said, he has great ideas. It's just, it feels like he's almost afraid to over-explain things. So he kind of just pushes things under the rug a little bit.
Or he doesn't know how to structure them properly.
And it's like if you just took the extra time or you got that extra assistance with really hammering out certain details, it could be a very different film.
Yeah, 100%. And there, like I said, there's a great idea there. Like, with the right deft hands, that could have been a marvelous fucking movie. Like, really tense cat and mouse kind of shit. Like, knowing your killer, that alone is a very solid premise. Yeah. You have the cops. They have trapped this serial killer here. They know he's here, but the problem is they don't know who he is. They just have this gut feeling, or they have some little tip that he's there. And how does the guy get out? You know?
Right.
That's the cat and mouse shit we should have had. But no, we had 30 minutes of a fucking concert with his daughter singing goddamn pop songs, and I didn't give a shit. So, yeah. If somebody out there likes Trap, I'm sorry. I don't.
Steven has spoken.
And again, like I said, I have not watched an M. Night Shyamalan movie since Glass. And the only reason I even watched that was because of the whole Split Unbreakable connection, because I do appreciate that. But even those were disappointing. I mean, Split was better than it should have been. Like, that was one that I'll give him a win for.
You got to give, and you got to give I'm terrible with names. You got to give the guy in that with all the personalities. You have to give him credit.
McAvoy. James McAvoy.
He was phenomenal. And I don't care what anybody said. He should have won an Oscar or been nominated for that, won something, because to be that many different characters and really make people feel convinced.
And that's my point. It's almost like Shyamalan works great. Like, he can get great performances out of his actors, because at the end of the day, I guarantee you the one thing you remember out of his movies is one or two characters that do shine.
Yeah.
They're just in a bad movie.
Yeah.
So, I would 100% agree with that. McAvoy, he steals the show. He makes it watchable. But I guarantee if I really stopped to really break it down, you'd be like, something's a little off here.
Right.
But again, McAvoy sells the whole show, and you're just like, yeah, I'm in it, dude. I'm on board. So that could be the same thing for some people with Trap. But for me, I overthought it. I'm looking at all these details because it's supposed to be this crime thriller type movie, and it just falls flat.
Yeah. Maybe Shyamalan needs to, like, get into a different genre for a little bit. See if
he tried. Helps. I know that early in his career he did some kind of family comedy or some shit. Maybe he ought to go back to that so it's not complicated. But he may try to find a way to put in a twist, and it's just like, why is this here? That's the other thing, the twist. We were sitting there thinking, well, because obviously that's his thing. So I guess maybe that's on us for expecting one. But I don't recall like this, oh my God, twist.
Yeah.
Like, I think I know what it was supposed to be, but I was just like, okay. I guess that's kind of fucked up, but it wasn't like jaw to the floor like, oh, I can't believe I never saw it. It did not feel like that kind of twist. It was just like, yeah, okay, it tracks.
I mean, I know what he could do. The scary movie franchise is coming back, and they always poked fun at his movies. Maybe he should just do that.
And
do a comedy.
Celebrated directors that are now washed up. I mean, they're the ones who do these. Look at the Zucker. Sorry, guys, but you know.
No hate, just spitting facts.
Hey, it breaks my heart. Trust me. I mean, these are the guys who did fucking Airplane and Naked Gun and and you learn some facts about them, and then you realize why Scary Movie 3, 4, and 5 suck ass. It's because they don't have a talented bone in their body. Just saying. It's a heartbreaker. I'm sorry, people. Don't come at me. Look it up. You want to hear some news?
Yes, of course.
We're going to piss people off for that one, I'm sure. By the way, before we get into news, because I spotted this, I wanted to ask, have you had a chance to check out Terminator Zero?
I haven't yet. It's still on my list of things to check out. I'm hoping that there's one news thing you're going to talk about, because there is something that I want to talk about that I did see, and I'm kind of in agreement with some people on it. It has to do with the Wolfman.
Yeah,
I think
we're definitely going to talk about that.
I think you know where I'm going with it, but
yeah, 100%.
I have not watched the Terminator show. It is on my list of things. Have you gotten to watch it yet?
I watched it in its entirety. It's one of those shows that I would say it can be a quick binge watch over a day or an evening or something like that, because I think it's 8 episodes and they're about 30 minutes apiece. Anime style, which they didn't skimp on. They really put the details into it, and it felt like this is what the Terminator franchise needed, like a good shot in the arm. That they were not beholden to all this shit that we've done in the movies and said, let's just do something different with the same concept. So how do we do that? And then so they just said, different Terminator, different people, different setting. Boom, there you go. But you're still within the Terminator universe. And how they even kind of played why the Terminator was even coming back in the first place. Kind of similar situations to the Sarah Connor stuff, but not quite. You know, because you think it's still that same thread, but then they add some new interesting wrinkles. And I don't know, it's a lot of fun, very interesting. Terminator's scary again, you know, kind of goes back to feeling like can we all agree that the original Terminator is a slasher film in essence?
Yeah, I would put it like in a weird sci-fi slasher category, because it's kind of like sci-fi horror meets slasher film.
I know it doesn't seem like it on the surface, but when you kind of break it down to the most simple, basic parts, it's a slasher in form, in some ways.
In essence,
there's a slasher vibe to it. So it's like they tapped into that and said, all right, let's go back to that, you know. And I've heard a lot of people say that Timothy Olyphant was kind of miscast as the Terminator. I can see why you feel that, because he doesn't come off. He can be threatening, don't get me wrong, but I guess in this he doesn't deliver with some sort of threatening vibe. But I think that's kind of the point. He's meant to kind of come off a little calmer, and that just kind of makes it unsettling in some regards. So perhaps maybe his approach wasn't someone's cup of tea, or maybe what they were expecting. But I think he did a fine job. A lot of the voice cast did fantastic. There were even some names in there that I didn't even realize I was listening to, and I was like, oh shit. So I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's a quick, easy watch. I think I did like 4 episodes one night, 4 episodes the other, and it's pretty solid. So
very nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it.
All right. So are we excited for Jurassic World Rebirth? Yay. No? No?
You know,
we're done with dinosaurs?
To me, it feels like the same premise. I know they're collecting dinosaur blood for medical research and everything else, but to me, it's the same damn concept every time. Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, those movies are dear to me, but you have to reach a point where you're just like, enough's enough. I keep seeing people talk about something that I think they should do instead.
Okay.
The movies stray very far away from the books. Mm-hmm. The books are not very pleasant. They are very disturbing. I feel bad for not remembering his name, but the guy that created Jurassic Park,
Michael Crichton.
In the book, he is an asshole.
Oh, you're talking about John Hammond. Sorry.
Yeah, he there
I thought you meant the writer of the book.
No. The creator of the park in. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, John Hammond. Yes.
Yeah, he's an asshole. He's a bigger part of the book. He gets killed in the book, but these books border on like horror novelization. And I've heard a lot of people say that it would be really cool if they don't have to do movies, but if they made a deal with like Max, or they made a deal with some streaming service or something, and they created a series based off of the books that followed the books more in the horror aspect. I could get behind that, because you'd be making dinosaurs scary, you'd be staying true to the books, and it would be enough of a difference in the story that I feel like people who still enjoy Jurassic Park the films and Jurassic World and all that could enjoy these in a different light. Yeah. I would be all for that. I think it would be a really interesting idea. I'm tired 100%. Of the action movies.
Yeah, because they need to reinvent it somehow. And I don't feel like they did that when they did Jurassic World. There seemed like there was a good idea. Like, okay, what if we did the park? We actually did the park. Fantastic. That was a great idea. Now what? You did the park. Now what? Let's do something new. Because I don't know what else you can do with this concept that they haven't already. I don't know.
And it's even like when the dinosaurs got free in just, you know, that they brought them from the island, they brought them to the mainland, and then they got free. And then later on you find out that they're dying off because they can't adjust to the weather or whatever.
Yeah.
You could have had you could have done a series. They love doing that now. They love doing series in between movies and stuff. You could have done a series about that. There was still a lot of time where the dinosaurs were causing panic, causing issues, everything else. There could have been a whole series of that. You could have made that as dark as you wanted to, and you could have done a build up, and you could have explained, like, yes, it's bad right now, but we're not going to have this problem forever because they're not going to be able to adapt to the changing weather. Instead of just explaining it all on, you know, in a movie. Go ahead, sorry.
And don't forget, like, that teaser trailer they did for Dominion, like, promised something so amazing, and they did not deliver on that whatsoever. Like, there was something about that just, it was like, okay, I'm digging this vibe.
Right.
And then they didn't do it. That whole thing was not even in the movie. So it was like, what the fuck, man? So, yeah, I my expectations for this are low because I'm going to do a quick plug for another podcast real quick. There's a podcast that I contribute to and have contributed to quite a bit over the past few years called Podcasters Assemble. They take these franchises, if you haven't heard about what it is, they take these franchise movies like Jurassic Park or the Marvel movies, The Matrix. We've done some MonsterVerse movies. I think right now they're doing the Ghibli films from Miyazaki. It's just pretty much this culmination of podcasters giving their opinions on these movies, and then they splice them together into one big hodgepodge opinion piece, and it's a lot of fun. When we did Jurassic Park, or the entire Jurassic Park series, I realized how much I don't really care for it. Like, it's such diminishing returns from one to the other. Like, even when it starts to go up with World, it goes right the fuck back down.
Yeah.
And goes into these crazy territories. Just like, I don't really care for this anymore.
I like the first two. The first one holds a special place in my heart because it had a lot of horror elements. There was a lot of scary stuff in that movie. Not only were they having to run away from, you know, the T-Rex throughout the whole film, and it's like it's always right on their tails, which is just, you know, thinking about being hunted constantly is terrifying. You know, I make references to that movie still. It's like my youngest daughter. When she jiggles the door handle, I'm like, she's learning how to open doors. You know, I'm thinking of the the raptors opening the doors in Jurassic Park.
But that's a good pull. That's a great reference.
Yeah, you know, it's just like one that I'm not proud of. We have a puppy. The puppy went out and used the bathroom the other day. And I'm laughing to myself and going, that's a huge pile of shit. I'm thinking about Jeff Goldblum saying that in the movie. You know, I make stupid little references. I think everybody makes the reference of, it can't see us if we don't move. I say that about my children. I make jokes like that all the time about the original Jurassic Park, one of my favorite films. The second one, we get to look even further into that world. Is it cheesy? Is it campy? Yes. I think
it gets fairly misaligned.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like it's pretty solid.
Yeah,
it does have its moments, but it's solid nonetheless.
Yeah, and I'll even go as far to say that when the third one came out, I was actually there for the ride because that's when we were introduced to the Spinosaurus. And it's like, oh, there's a new big bad. And, you know, yeah, I get in World, they bring up the concept of genetically creating their own dinosaurs. And again, a very interesting idea. Let's make it more horrific. Let's inject. I heard rumors that back in the day, they wanted to do like human dinosaur hybrids, and they were going to have this whole thing created. Why not? Why not create something like that? You might think it sounds weird and sounds like a concept that might not work, but the way that audiences are now, it could be something cool.
And I'll even point out something that you just kind of brought up with the Spinosaurus thing. I found some thread in some like secondary media. It wasn't in the movies. Some might have been on a website or something like that. But when we were doing the Jurassic movies for the Podcasters Assemble, I found there was a through line apparently where it said InGen had genetically modified the Spinosaurus. Like that's why he was the way he was. He was not supposed to be that big. He was not supposed to be what he was. So he was a genetically modified dinosaur. But they just quietly announced this information. And I was like, but why wouldn't you tie that together? That's fucking amazing.
That is.
So this suddenly becomes the testing ground. That's what that island was. Is them just fucking around and making some shit that shouldn't be existing. So then now that turns that island into some island of Dr. Moreau shit,
right? And I'll even go, like, the first two are the best. The third one is fun.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah. We get into,
That's the way I like it.
And then from there we get into Jurassic World. And to me, Jurassic World kind of brought back that nostalgia kick. And that made me happy. I'll give them that. That made me happy. That gave me a lot of joy. I love how they tie in that the original scientist that was engineering everything was sort of like a covert agent. Like, I kind of like that whole thing. I think that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, more dinosaurs. They've not learned to not open the theme park. Oh, there's more. Oh, cool. Jimmy Buffett's in this movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that, but he's in there.
He was. But the whole thing would have worked had they not started creating mutant fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what the third, well, not the third, but
the fourth and the fifth, the fourth and the fifth movie. I'm just gonna say they're all, even though the names are different, it's all part of the same universe. The fourth and the fifth movie, it's the same. The fifth movie is just a recycled version of the previous one. Yes, we have the Indominus Rex. It was cool. It's the first time we were really introduced, and they really like flaunted like this is a genetically engineered dinosaur that we've added things to. Then you get to the next one, they're like, oh, it's the Indoraptor, I think is what it was called.
Something like that.
It's just a smaller version of the Indominus Rex. I'm like, come on. For real?
Yeah, you're not even trying.
Like, for fuck's sake,
It's like-
you're giving us the same damn story. But I don't know if you've ever read the books. I've not read them. I have them on Audible. Mm-hmm. But I've listened to people like read certain passages of them. I mean, there's a part in the book which I don't think they should put into. They probably shouldn't put into the the series if they did a series. The little dinosaurs that eat the little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that to a baby.
Ooh,
the parents hear a baby crying, and then they hear nothing, and they go to the room, and they see blood, and they see little dinosaur prints all over the place. Like,
interesting.
it's a horror book. They should make it a series because it would make dinosaurs scary again to me. I mean, at this point, the T-Rex from the original Jurassic Park is an action star. Let's just say it.
Sure.
They're action movies that dinosaurs just so happen to be in. That's like when they say, Fast and the Furious wants to do a crossover with Jurassic World. Could honestly see it happening because of the way that these movies are going. Like, give us the horror elements, make it scary. I just saw somebody talk about Godzilla, and they were like, we would love to see a hard R Godzilla movie with some more gore and some more horror. I would love to see them do a twist on Shin Godzilla. I would have loved for the little creatures to come off of Shin Godzilla and attack. I think that would have been cool.
Yeah, could have been interesting.
Just saying. Sorry, here I am, like, going off about stuff. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. We did get a renewal for The Last Drive-In, so we'll get a seventh season for Shudder. Hopefully it'll be just as solid as it's been. I gotta admit, while I'm bringing it up, When Evil Lurks, man. I mean, they did that on the Night Marathon. I know I mentioned that last week, but I had to go back and rewatch it because of that. And I haven't gotten through it all, but I did. I hit play on it, and I was like, I'm going to watch as much of this as I can before we go to the drive-in. And I got to about where, what's her name? Sabrina comes and grabs the boy and jumps out the window.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Speaking of that, I have to, you got a compliment the other day.
I did.
I was talking to Leah,
Okay.
and she was talking about the same thing, watching When Evil Lurks, and I made a joke. I was like, man, you had to subject yourself to it again. Hey, at least you probably learned some new stuff about it. And she said, actually, from what I saw in the drive-in, we pretty much covered everything on the podcast. And I was like, see? I said, there we go. We can do our own last drive-in. I said, you, Steven, and I, we can all do our own last drive-in. And she said, well, Steven's investigation skills are just as good as Joe Bob's. So
Aw.
she gave you a shout out, and I told her, I was like, Steven will explain everything. I will dumb it down, and you can charm everybody. So
Well, thank you, Leah.
we've got a plan.
I appreciate
and,
that.
Yeah, Leah thinks we pretty much covered everything. So I was like,
I mean,
cool.
there were some, like, I haven't finished watching everything, but there was a detail or two
Yeah.
that I felt like I didn't. Of course, I felt like they weren't really pertaining to the movie. I think there was more about Damien Rugna and his background and all that, and even how they got the movie financed, because I didn't know that. Like, there were some stories he mentioned before the movie started that Damien had this story, he was trying to get it made, and there was an executive at Shudder, like a curator, Joe Bob shouted his name out, I can't remember, but he helped get the money so he could finish the movie the way he wanted it, and literally what the money was going to was the special effects.
Yeah.
Like, that was the only thing holding him back to make the movie the way he wanted it. So they secured that money for him, got it to him, and then they got the rights to it. And there you go.
Very nice.
So he really talked it up. I mean, like, before they even started, he's like 4 stars. He's like, check this mother out. You know, like, this is going to be a good one. So just buckle up. So I was excited to see that kind of enthusiasm, because that right there, had I not seen it beforehand, his enthusiasm can make me watch a movie real quick.
Yeah.
Especially if he talks it up. No matter how bad it is, if he's excited, I'm excited.
He's so
Because
good
it's
at
gotta
it.
be
Yeah.
good.
He's so good at talking to people. And when you said that it was getting renewed again, the the first thing I thought was we need to have a little soundboard, and we need to have that Deadpool clip of him saying they're gonna make him do it till he's 90, because Joe Bob's gonna be hosting the last drive until he's 90.
I'll make that GIF as soon as I can.
And I'm cool with that. I am completely cool with that.
Oh, what else do we have? Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. Why not? We got trailers, man, for Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Can I say something about that actually?
Shoot, because I got nothing.
I don't know if you watched the trailer.
No, I didn't.
I'm not gonna lie. If they make it like they might add a supernatural element to it. But if they were to do this movie, from what I saw in the trailer, if they were to do this movie where this guy's just some cracked out psychopath who's obsessed with Peter Pan, it would be a solid movie, I think. Because the trailer, that's what it makes it seem like. It's very slasher-esque.
Okay.
And I didn't think it looked that bad, in all honesty. I thought it might be fun if they don't do the whole. There's a part where it looks like he's hovering, flying like Peter. But if they do it like it's a psychological thing where he's just imagining this stuff and he's going and he's taking these kids to Neverland, as he's saying, I could actually get behind this. Like, if they take it serious in that regard and they're like, let's make it about somebody who's obsessed with Peter Pan instead of we're going to make it about this flying Peter Pan guy that kills kids, I could get behind it, like 100%. Okay. You'll have to watch the trailer and then let me know what you think, because I'm actually kind of torn on this one. Like, this could be like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I mean, come on, we're a giant bear that's come to life and stalking Christopher Robin and his friends. That's a big thing to try to do and make a reality. But doing something along the lines of like Peter Pan and all that, there could be some room there for that to be something good. And from what I saw in the trailer, it does look like it could be something promising if they go about it in a certain direction, which the trailer kind of misleads you and makes you think maybe they will. So yeah, I'm actually not gonna say that I'm too upset about this one, as long as it's done right. If I see another trailer and it's just off the wall, stupid, crazy shit, then yeah, I'll be like, maybe not.
Okay. What else here? We have Small 2. Yeah, we got a trailer for that. Did you watch that?
I've not watched anything since the teaser, and the only reason is because, I'll be completely honest, the first Smile, I enjoyed it, but I was also a little let down by it. I thought that it was going to be... I hopped on the hype train. That was the problem.
Gotcha.
There was a lot of hype around it. I've not watched the trailer for the full trailer that's released. Have you?
Yes, I have. And it definitely seems like they're just, I'm hoping. And I say hope in the sense that I don't feel like this is a franchise, if they're going to do more, which it seems like they are, needs to hold on to threads unless it's absolutely necessary. So it just seems like new person, same problem, just a whole new set of events. So if we're not tying it into the first movie, I'm cool with.
Yeah.
Because I don't really feel like we need to pull on that thread. It happened. It had an ending. I won't say, but let's move on.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no reason to hang on to that.
the most I could see them doing to connect it from the first one is the guy that ends up getting possessed by it at the end. Maybe him maybe showing like an old video clip, like somebody sees, like when she was looking through old surveillance footage and it showed the people killing themselves. Maybe that, but that'd be about it. It's just like with they're gonna do They Follow now instead of It Follows. Still could be an interesting concept. Just
Yeah.
I agree with you. Don't pull on threads that you don't need to. And fun fact, Smile was done because of a YouTube short.
I feel like I heard that, yeah.
And the very first girl that kills herself in front of the main character in the first Smile is the same actress that was in the YouTube short.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, that's right. I did read that.
I think we talked about that on the show at one point too.
We may have.
Some time ago.
Some time ago. It's been a while.
Some time ago.
We also got I wouldn't call this like a super big major fucking trailer for anything, but we kind of got an announcement trailer, I guess would be the best way to put it, for Alien Earth.
Yeah.
Where we know that that's coming to FX. Don't know what it's about other than aliens on Earth, maybe? That's all I know of it, so we'll keep an eye on it. But I am kind of looking forward to it because, again, Noah Hawley, I'm a big fan of his stuff. I like Fargo. I know he worked on some other stuff. I think he did Legion as well on FX, so his stuff is real cerebral and interesting, and I kind of dig it. So,
and the Alien franchise, the creatures themselves are interesting. They're one of those things. They're interesting no matter how much time goes by.
Yeah. By the way, here's a very, like, I haven't watched this trailer, but I've read into this because I didn't know what it was at first. And now that I'm looking at it, I was like, well, fuck, I should really look into this because this just seems bizarre as shit. There's a movie coming out from Searchlight Pictures starring Amy Adams called Night Bitch. Have you heard of this movie?
No, I have not.
Night Bitch tells the story of a woman thrown into the stay-at-home mom routine of raising a toddler in the suburb who slowly embraces the feral power deeply rooted in motherhood. Suddenly, I guess she's turning into a dog or a wolf or something. I don't know.
Oh.
You look at the trailer and, or not the trailer, but the poster, and she's right in the middle, and then she's surrounded by dogs.
Is it a series or is it going to be a movie?
It's a movie. It's described by the director as a comedy for women and a horror movie for men.
Because I know that I don't know if it was a series or what, but there's a scene where she turns into a werewolf and the husband's like trying to explain to her like, honey, it's me, like trying to get her not to kill him. I don't know if it's that or if it's another series, but I need more horror comedies. I really do.
I mean, it comes out of left field sometimes when you don't expect it.
Yeah.
And I think those are the ones that are the gems.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck, Night Bitch?
Yeah.
Like, you never would have thought in a million years, like, what the fuck is this? And I still don't know what it is, but okay. I'll have to check out that trailer.
Like, I don't know what it is.
Why
but
she's turning into a dog.
Now I need to know what it is.
Yeah, I want to know. I've got to know. What else have we got? Okay, so little 4K update. We're getting a 4K version of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Okay.
If that's a movie that people like. I like it. I think it's a fun movie.
Oh, I love everything about that movie. That's the movie that made me fall in love with Elvira.
Oh, for sure. What else we got? So, I want to kind of bring this one up ever so slightly because I don't want to go too deep into it. But there's a TV show, or I guess a new series showing up on Netflix. And it's about, do you remember the Menendez brothers?
Yes.
Is that, because I asked Katrina about it and she didn't seem like it triggered in her head.
Yeah.
And I knew she'd probably been
The only reason I remember is because we talked about this, I think, briefly.
Yeah. So these guys, they're doing a series kind of in the same vein. I think it's actually from the same guy who did Dahmer.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about that, but I think I heard that. And it's a pretty much, I guess, a docu-series about these two boys who, as I understand it, their dad was some big producer in Hollywood. I don't know why they killed him. Like, that's some detail as to why they did it. I guess they had some sort of chip on their shoulder. I probably have heard. I don't know what it is, but they just seem like they were not all right in the head. But there may be more. I don't know. But they're doing this series. I kind of want to watch it because I am aware of it, but at the same time, we've heard these arguments about some of these series where they glorify the killers and whatnot. So I'm going to wait to hear the approach.
Right.
Because I'm curious. Because they got Javier Bardem to play their dad, and that's a get, man.
Damn.
So I'm intrigued by that, but I don't know. I'm keeping my eyes on it, so
Right.
it should be dropping on Netflix here pretty soon.
Speaking of Netflix, real quick, have you seen anything about the movie called The Deliverance?
I know I've seen a thumbnail for the trailer, but I didn't watch it.
It's the way that I had it described to me. It's if the Exorcist was done, but they used an African American cast.
Okay.
Glenn Close is in it as well. She plays like the grandmother and the mom to the family suffering. But there is a line in it, and I'm going to say this. I've not seen the movie, but I've seen the line. Apparently, she gets possessed at some point, and someone's there trying to help, and she looks at the woman, and this has been a meme all over the place since it was said. Glenn Close looking possessed with no hair and big dark eyes says, "I can smell your nappy pussy."
Okay.
And she says it in a very high-pitched voice. And I have seen it everywhere. I have seen it on Facebook. And the caption on it says, "If I send you this, guess what I can smell?" So I'm trying, because a lot of people have said it is very good. It is a very good film. And I'm trying not to find the stuff that I'm seeing funny because people are making jokes, as people always do. Somebody made a good point, too, and I'm just going to say this right now. Glenn Close is an actress who does not get the appreciation that she deserves. Just going to put that out there. She's phenomenal. So, but yeah, check out The Deliverance if you get the chance. I'm going to try to watch it. It is on Netflix.
All right. Do you have a pen?
I do have a pen.
Good. I'm going to give you a phone number. I want you to call this number.
Okay.
772
Okay.
837
37.
4739. It's for a good time.
Should we call it now?
Just call it now. And everybody who's listening, call it now. I gave you the number. Back it up if you need to check again.
7
But call it now.
837 47.
It's going to be fun, guys. I don't know what to expect. I'm just...
7 2
Uh-oh.
8 3 7 4 7 3 9 is unavailable.
What?
Hang on.
What?
We're going to try this again. I'll put the 1 in front of it, see if that makes a difference.
772
837.
837 7439.
I wrote it backwards. There we go.
Maybe I said it backwards.
7439.
I may have said it backwards. That might be on me. I can be a little dyslexic.
I think we're on with Art the Clown, aren't we?
We are.
Hello?
I think that might have been it. I don't know.
He's not much of a talker.
No, but there you go.
I thought I had seen that somewhere. At least it's not one of those 1-900 numbers that you have to pay like $1 a minute to talk to.
Call now to have your sexy friend talk to you on the phone. And you can talk about all the dirty details that you really want. That's my sexy voice for the day.
I like it. Back in the day, they had a Freddy number where you could answer trivia, and you had a chance to be in, I think it was part 4. There's an old ad for it. There's a guy sitting, just like a teenager. He's sitting there watching TV, and his mom's like, "You turn that off. You need to do your homework," and all the regular stuff. And Freddy starts talking to him. He's like, "Hey, come in here. I bet we're gonna have some real fun." And he pulls him into the TV, and then he's like, "You think you can beat Freddy in trivia?" And they talk about all the movies and stuff in the ad. It's a hilarious ad, but peak 80s ad. Let's put it that way.
There you go. Well, okay, so this might be something, I mean, I say it might be something for you, but you might not give a shit. Just in your veins, I could see someone else being like, "Hey, we ought to tell Les about this. He might be interested." There's a true crime docuseries coming out called The Real Murders on Elm Street. That's actually premiering on September 9th, which is in 2 days from the time. Well, is it? I don't know. It's already out for people listening. Oh, my God. It's a 6-part documentary series about small suburban towns across America that have been torn apart by murder. Every town has one, as they say. And it's supposed to be on Max.
Huh.
I think. So
It does sound interesting, actually.
So if that's something that be up your alley, something you might... Because, like, I'm not too keen on wanting to find or hear stories about some terrible shit, but there's also a fascination, like a small fascination about it, too.
You're always curious as to why things happen, even bad things.
Like, for me personally, the one that always fascinates me to this day is the town that dreaded sundown, that guy. Whoever the fuck that guy is. Just the fact that he supposedly got away. Like, I know that they said that there's a possibility they may have caught him at some point, but we don't know. Yeah. So, to me, he's a fucking phantom. He just up and disappeared one day, and he got away with it.
That's just like the Axeman of New Orleans. They actually touch on that. They tie it into the show American Horror Story. They tie it into one of their seasons. But he's one of those ones, he just disappeared. And
Jesus fucking Christ, man. I'm sorry. Would you like to hear what the first episode is about?
yes, please.
Okay, the first episode that premieres on September 9th on Max, and apparently Investigation Discovery, whatever the fuck that is. I guess that's a Discovery Channel or something. A Discovery, not the A. It says it's called The Killer in the Walls, and it says, quote, when a husband discovers his wife and 2 children brutally murdered, police begin to suspect that the killer is someone they've arrested before. 1 year prior, a disturbed teenager terrorized a family for months by hiding in the most unlikely place.
Damn.
I have never heard of this shit before, so if there's some fucker living in your walls, holy shit.
Ugh.
Could you imagine? Jesus.
I'll hear something
Okay.
in the house and just be like, oh, God.
So that's real horror for all you people out there.
Ooh.
If you want to deal with that shit. Okay, this is not really horror related, but I just want to bring this up because I think... I'm just imagining this, and it's just, I can't. I love I got a crush on her. Alison Brie from Community.
Yes.
And Glow and a bunch of other stuff. She's going to be Evil Lynn in Masters of the Universe.
Really?
Whenever they get this movie off the ground, so I'm all for that.
Nice.
All for that. She is. She's adorable. I don't know what it is about her. I think it's her. She's got some striking blue eyes. I think that's what it is. And she's easy on the eyes, you know what I mean? To say the least. Piglet's getting his own horror movie.
God.
Did you hear that?
I did, yes.
I just thought I'd bring that up, just in case people missed that. The Burbs is apparently getting a remake.
Really?
Yeah. However, this is going to be sacrilegious to some goddamn people. I am not like the biggest fan of The Burbs. I don't hate it, but it's never been one of those movies that I have clawed back to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know I've seen it at least 2 or 3 times, and I just never find myself wanting to go back to it, you know what I mean? And then I'll kind of come back to it at some point and just be like, yeah, and then just move along. Like, it's never stuck with me for some reason. I don't know why.
Right.
But Keke Palmer is apparently leading the charge for this. Oh, it's going to be a TV series adaptation. Sorry. And then I think I also heard Seth MacFarlane's name attached to it as well. So if he's like an executive producer on it, because I know he did, what was that damn thing he did? It got fucking roasted. It was like an animated remake of an old TV show.
Oh.
Is it Good Times?
Might have been. I know what you're talking about.
Because it came on Netflix, and it was just supposed to be like this modern remake of an old Norman Lear TV show. And people were just like, what the fuck is this supposed to be? Like, no one could make sense, heads or tails out of it. And it really disappointed me because I was like, well, that's sad. Because I kind of was looking forward to it because you saw the names attached. You saw Seth's name. You saw even Norman Lear before he died. He was actively involved in it. So it was like, well, how could this go wrong? Apparently it did. I think I might be tapped out of some interesting news, to say the least. There might be some better news up in here, but...
I have one thing.
Shoot, because I'm still thumbing through.
The Wolfman trailer I thought looked awesome.
Oh, yes.
I did think the Wolfman...
That's what I haven't...
Yeah. I think the trailer looked awesome. I think it's going to be suspenseful. I noticed they showed some reveal. There was a guy in a costume.
Yeah.
And for the love of God, I hope that's not the final result. I don't think it is. I honestly think they're mind fucking us.
I have a possible my guess on what that is.
Okay.
We don't know yet how the whole curse thing is going to work, but we may need a wolf person to take a bite out of Dad for him to become another wolf person. So I think that might be our first wolf person.
Could be.
The one that does the biting that turns the main character into our wolf.
Well, and I wonder if that's not full transformation too.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering about
That could also be a part of it as well, yeah.
But
because it doesn't have a Wolfman vibe to it. It seems very bizarre, like it's in this weird plane of existence.
To me, it looked like some crazy animation that you would draw for like some hobo who's got rabies. That's what I thought. But that's just me. No, I hope that the hair comes in more and everything. And who knows, maybe this is like an older wolf man who bites the dad and whatever. But
yeah, like I said, that's my take on it. But I'm
confident in this though. I think it's gonna be good. And from the trailer, I thought it looked suspenseful. I thought it just looked good. I think it's gonna be solid.
I'm hoping it will be.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be solid. So, you have any other news?
No, I think that was gonna be the last one.
Okay. Well, to let all the fans out there know, all the ramblers, Steven surprised me last week, and we played a game from another podcast where you read me some Letterboxed reviews, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Of Friday the 13th, not Friday the 13th, of Nightmare on Elm Street. And I was talking to my wife, and I know we had talked on the last show about possibly doing the same thing for Friday the 13th and having you guess. And my wife, love her to death, was like, you know, if you guys record and you release the episode on this week coming up, it'll be Friday the 13th. And I thought to myself, I did not know that. So I was thinking about it. I was like, shouldn't be too hard to get some information. So that is what we're going to do today. I'm going to read some reviews and have you take some guesses. And I'll let you know, I'm kind of doing the same thing that you did. Freddy versus Jason is not in the equation.
Okay. We may have to just do a special one on that and try to mix it up with something.
Right. The remake is.
Okay.
Just as in...
That's fair.
Yep. So we're going to have, I think there's 11 movies altogether? 12? 11.
No, 11.
There's 11.
11 if you don't count Freddy vs. Jason.
So I have 11 different movies. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you a couple questions just for some fun real quick. I got on Rotten Tomatoes, and I looked at the Friday the 13th franchise as a whole. This list does include Freddy vs. Jason. This one does. But
Okay.
I just wanted to get an idea, see what you thought. So there is one Friday the 13th film that has an 11% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. It is considered the worst out of the franchise by the critics. I wanted to see what you thought that movie might. Because it kind of surprised me a little bit.
Worst out of the series.
Yep, and this does not count for your points or anything like that. This is just a...
I mean, if my initial gut reaction to that question would be Jason Goes to Hell. Because I have heard so much hate for that movie simply because it's the one that Jason's not in. But I've also heard that same argument with Part 8, where they're just like, well, that's the one where he's just on a fucking boat all the time. Or Part 5, well, he's not in that at all because, he's dead.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to read the critics' consensus. I won't put the title in here because it's on here, but I'll read everything but that and see if that gives you a little bit of a help with it. So, it says, Jason may solidify his iconic wardrobe in this entry, but it lacks any other distinguishing features, relying on a tired formula of stab and repeat.
Well, that would almost sound like Part 3, because they said it's when he gets his iconic wardrobe. Like, where else it would be his mask?
Well, I would just give that to you because it is Part 3. They consider Part 3 the worst.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised by that. Like, that was really surprising to me. That's because as soon as I saw that, I was like, Steven's going to be like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't see why that one would be so
We'll do one other
polarizing.
one. We'll do one other one at the bottom here.
Okay.
Number 11. It also has 11%, but it's slightly above 3. And this one really surprised me. Like, I thought this one would be bottom of the barrel because it's probably one of my... I think the only reason it's a little bit higher up is because it's got a few good kills.
Gotcha.
I'll give you one clue, and I know you'll get it because it's part of the consensus. I'm not going to read the whole thing because if I read the whole thing, you'll get it 100%. But it says it nearly sinks the franchise.
Part 8.
It's I'm trying to remember which ones I'm. Part 8 is
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Sorry, I have it written down somewhere else that I'm not looking. But yes, it is Jason Takes Manhattan. We get the weird Jason scream and everything else. It's like, what the hell? Okay, I'm gonna read these to you in order. So that was 11 on the list,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna stop at a certain point and have you guess the top, probably the top 2 or top 3 maybe.
Okay.
So 11 was Jason Takes Manhattan. 10 was Jason Goes to Hell. 9 was A New Beginning with an 18% rotten. Jason X is number 8, which is kind of surprising.
A little bit, yeah.
It's 20% rotten. I love the critics' consensus. Jason goes to the future, but the story is still stuck in the past. 7 is The Final Chapter.
See, now, I'm really surprised by that. I felt like 4 is probably a lot of people's favorite.
You know, I think I would agree with that. I have a guilty pleasure one, though. So
Yeah.
my guilty pleasure is The New Blood. I actually enjoy that movie.
Oh, fuck yeah.
More than I probably should. But the remake is number 6.
Nah, I'd put that lower. I'm sorry.
I would too. Part 2 is 5.
See, again, I feel like that one's been getting a lot of love here lately. Like, people are really starting to appreciate Jenny.
Yeah.
And her journey.
I could agree.
All right. Yeah.
I could agree with this one to a degree because a lot of people had a hard time wrapping their heads around the one concept in it. But number 4 is The New Blood. I know a lot of people struggled with, why does that girl have psychic powers?
Dude's a fucking zombie. What does it matter?
Like, I feel like that's a decent place for that movie. I feel like overall that's not a bad movie.
No.
Can you guess what
Again,
number 3
one of
is?
people's favorites. Okay, so we're talking about this is going from worst to best. I'm
Yes,
assuming?
and this is everything, even Freddy versus Jason.
Trying to think of what you haven't said. I'm gonna assume, based on just my knowledge, 1 and 6 have to be in the top spots. Now, which top spot?
And I
varies.
haven't mentioned Freddy versus Jason.
So that one would have to be in there too, which I'm really surprised by. So which is which? All right, so I guess I'm gonna say top 3. Part 6, the original Freddy vs. Jason. 1, 2, 3.
So you're right about 3. 3 is Freddy versus Jason. Part 6 is number 2, and
So we're doing that whole.
Yep, and the OG is number 1, and it's crazy to me because the original is 66% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, right?
Yep.
Then we go down to 53% rotten. How does that make sense?
No. All right, so look, I've noticed this with certain lists. Okay, here lately. I don't know what it is, but it's almost like I've found that hook, that everybody does. Every time you do this, what are the best of these movies and what's the best of these movies and all that stuff. Godzilla movies. I'm going to use that as an example because that's one of the most recent I saw. What you go through, and so we're ranking them all. What's going to be number 1? The original. It's always the original. Never fucking fails. Any goddamn movie list, the original is number 1. This is no different. Despite the fact, everyone will admit, Part 6 is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's just a thrill ride. So why can we not say that it's better than 1? I'm going to even posit this. This may be sacrilege, but I think Godzilla Minus One does surpass the original. Do you know why? Because it made me feel something.
Yeah.
As much as I do understand the struggles of the original, I can't relate because I didn't live through that shit.
Right.
Minus One I can relate to because I understand the struggle of the loss and trying to just want to live.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
So
The only time I've seen a list kind of stray, I was looking at list of Nightmare on Elm Street one time, and it doesn't happen often, really at all. Like you've just said, I have seen one list where number 3 beat out number 1.
Okay.
Only ever seen that one time, and I think it was a website that it was like the second page on Google, like the complete second page, not the second link, but like the second page, because I wanted to see difference in opinion, and I had to go searching for it. So,
and I think that's, you don't have to be beholden to that, and that's what I'm trying to say about Minus One as an example, because we're talking about 2 movies One is made for a specific audience. The other could also be made for that same specific audience, but it found a broader appeal. That's my point.
Yeah.
If you are I mean, if we can all understand it from that perspective, sure, and that's fine. And like I said, I feel like to some degree we can empathize, but we still, it's not hitting the same way because we don't understand it like they did, especially at that time. It's hard to connect those dots. Here, even in the same time period, they connected the dots for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. That's why I want to say it's far superior. Well, I won't say far, but it is better.
Yeah.
Than the original because it found a way to take that story and say, all right, we're going to make everybody feel this.
Yeah. And it's not it's not even that you're shitting on the original because you're not.
No.
You can still love the original, but this one gave more meaning to what the original couldn't do at the time, for modern day. It makes sense.
Everyone.
Yeah.
That's the power of that movie that I think why it surpasses the original. Because it found a way to tell a similar story with broader appeal, and you've got so many people on board. I got my mom to watch this goddamn movie. Okay, you have to understand that's a feat. Anytime I even bring up the word Godzilla or King Kong, her eyes go in the back of her fucking head like, oh my god, this shit again. Planet of the Apes. Me and my dad love the Planet of the Apes. Katrina loves Planet of the Apes, but we try to get my mom to watch the new ones, the really, really good ones.
Yeah.
Eyes rolling back of her head. It's like, Mom, just forget all that shit. I know what you're thinking of, but just let it go. Let it go. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. So the fact that I got her to watch -1 was a feat. And she did. She seemed invested in it. So it's powerful. Trust me. Anyway.
Well, are you ready to guess some Friday the 13th films?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to give you, just like you did me, get your 3 lifelines. I think you're going to kick some serious ass at this because you're Friday the 13th. I'm going to kind of jump around movies like you did. Might even ask, about the same movie once or twice. You did like 20 guesses for me. I'm probably going to do around the same for you. So we'll hop right in. This one is from Pierce Papa. It's a 1/2 star, and it says, "This is very bad and not good, but I had so much fun here. I don't think I was scared for a nanosecond, but who cares? Can't tell you that part. Acting is consistently funny in how try-hard it is. All the kills are censored to hell. The music feels more like an adventure film than a masked killer in the woods. Really nothing works here at all. Like most scenes were just a hair off from a naked gun. The script was so trite and by the books that it verged on satire/parody, which it honestly should have leaned into. Great watch with friends over the spooky season, but don't try and gaslight me into thinking this movie was good. It's dog food level filmmaking."
I mean, that could be a lot of them. Because I'm not gonna deny these are not grade A cinema, but they're so good. I enjoy it. It's fast food. It's not good for you, but by God, you love it anyway. You can't help it.
I almost want to give you one freebie because that was a pretty general one. I'm gonna give you one freebie too, and this one is very, very small, but I'll see. This one is by Elzona, and it says, "Okay, but where the boobies at?"
Oh, that's part 6.
That is correct.
I mean, that's my question too. Where the boobies at?
I had a feeling you'd get it from that one. Mm-hmm. Let's see.
That's the one with the cardinal sin, man. But yet, ironically, is the one that people seem to enjoy the most. Go figure. Maybe that's why it wasn't number 1. It didn't have boobs. I didn't think about that. Shit. Now, yeah, it all makes sense. It all tracks. Christ, it should have been it should have been number 2.
All right. This one is also a 1/2 star. Coca-Cola 16. First half was literally just porn. Every kill was predictable, zero suspense, and stupid. The first 3 showed flashes of great ideas and execution, but this one was only repetitive of the worst parts of the others. This one felt like you were laughing at the movie, not with it. Obviously, I'm not expecting a masterpiece in filmmaking, but this was beyond stupid. And right below it, there's a guy that says, "Fuck naked people."
Okay. There was a very specific detail in what he said that makes me think it's this movie, because he said the first half of it was like a porno, and trying to think of any that really amped up the sex more than others, because my general thought would be part 5, mainly because it was directed by a porn director. So he did put those sensibilities in the movie. I mean, it's clear.
There was a little tidbit in there that would have helped you, I think.
But yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Read it one more time. Maybe I'm missing that detail.
First half was literally just porn. Every kill was predictable, zero suspense and stupid. The first 3 showed flashes of great ideas and execution, but this one was only repetitive of the worst parts of the others. This one felt like you were laughing at the movie, not with it. Obviously, I'm not expecting a masterpiece in filmmaking, but it was beyond stupid. There's a key clue there within the first part of it.
Is it about the kills?
Not about the kills.
Because that was it.
Not about the kills.
That was another part about it that I was trying to hang on to. So maybe I'm missing a detail that you're reading and it's not clicking in my brain.
You want me to give it? Read it one more time for you?
Read the very specific sentence. Let me see if I can hook on to it.
I'm going to read the first 2 sentences because I think that'll help you. So, first half was literally just porn. Every kill was predictable, zero suspense and stupid. The first 3 showed flashes of great ideas and execution.
That's what I'm focused on, because I'm trying to think. First 3 kills showed promise.
Is that what is that what I'm meaning though?
Okay.
First 3 can mean a lot of things.
Oh, okay.
If that helps a little bit.
Going through some of the movies here.
Can't go too easy on you here.
No, I don't want you to. First three. Well, there are no 3-tittied women in this movie, so it can't be that.
Not that I know of.
Not that I know of. God damn it. I'm gonna kick myself in the ass because I'm not thinking this through correctly. Is it part 4?
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer, because I think I overthought it. The first 3.
You are correct.
4. And then that tracks to the porno thing, because, there was a lot of horny and sexing and stuff at the beginning. Okay, yeah. That tracks.
All right, let me pick another one here. Let's see.
Oh, and don't forget about Crispin Glover and his dancing that he does in that movie.
There actually is a comment I'm pretty sure I saved. I'll have to come back to it and tell you, but let's see. Here's a very small one, and I think if you really just kind of think about it, I think you'll get it. It's not very much. If you struggle, I might give you a freebie and give you another okay. Comment. This is a half star as well. This is from Dickie. They kept it simple. It's ass. Big budget, looks good, but feels like they don't even like the franchise.
If you said big budget, my first thought would be the remake, because I don't know where he thought there would be a big budget in any of the other goddamn movies.
That your final answer? I'll give it to you. That's it.
Yeah.
I want to read this one comment just real quick. I know you saved that till the end when we did it, but I thought this was really, really fucking funny. So, I hope after the end, Jason got super stoned off his secret weed stash and got all the people involved with this garbage of a reboot. Oh, God. I thought that was...
The weed stash. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let me find it here. This is going to take me a minute because I have certain ones that I want you to... Here we go. 35th anniversary. This is from Francesco, and this was a more modern review, but it says 35th anniversary rewatch. Best thing about this is the poster.
30th anniversary rewatch.
35th.
Best thing about this, 35th.
And best thing about it is the poster.
So which of these movies would be 35 by now? I feel like there's at least quite a few of them now. Well, no. Yeah. Shit, I'm old. Best thing about this movie is the poster. Would it be 35th? Would this be part 8? Jason Takes Manhattan? Because that's a bitchin' poster. And I can't think of another poster that would be that also. Well, they are pretty good. That's still the best poster, though. Fuck. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the part 8.
You are good, man.
Okay. Because I couldn't think of another poster that would be that you would sit there and say, oh my God, that's fucking amazing. Because that is a great poster.
True. I will agree with you there. I was looking at the poster like while I was reading. One of my other favorite things was somebody said Muppets did it better.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, let me jump around here.
It actually has one of my favorite lines in any Muppet movie. Is they're all sitting at the diner and like the whole crew, and you got the electric mayhammer sitting there, and somebody says or does something like some noise happens, and then Zoot, the saxophonist, is sitting off in the background sleeping, and something happens. He goes, hey, why? Like that, and Dr. Teeth says, it's okay, nobody landed. Tell them to go back to sleep. A little deeper, but you know.
Let me see here. I know you know a lot of behind the scenes stuff, so I'm gonna read this one anyways, and I'll see if you get it, because I feel like you will. But this is from Jason with a Jay, Sunshine.
Oh,
and it's
Jason.
And it says this film contains animal abuse, and so receives the lowest possible rating.
Ooh, animal abuse. I don't remember Jason hurting a dog. Of course, there's only really one movie that I can think of that had a dog. Wait a minute. There's two. Yeah, there's another one. There's 2 dogs. Is there another dog anywhere? Well, I keep thinking dogs, and it doesn't have to be dogs. There could be, but I don't remember any cats. I honestly can't think of any animals in these movies outside of a dog. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say part 2.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, because I feel like I did hear something about that little dog.
That would be incorrect. It is part 1. There is a snake that gets killed for real.
Oh, yes, that's right. Shit, the snake. I forget the snake because I don't like thinking about it. I always forget the snake.
You might use a lifeline on this one, but I just think this is so funny. This is from Ronaldono_sense. Pretty sure 20% of what I remembered about this movie is actually from Dracula 3000.
I mean, based on that comment alone, I might have to just jump to Jason X, because that's the only thing that tracks. And if it's not that, I'm really confused.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay. I'd be like, damn, what did I miss?
That's one of my favorite ones.
It probably wasn't wrong either.
And it'll kind of be like how we did too. I'll have to choose a few multiple times.
Not a problem.
Let's take a look here. This one might throw you off just a little bit.
Okay.
Worst one so far. Someone got way into sci-fi and forgot they were supposed to be writing a young, bloody, hot person slap.
I mean, outside of Jason X, I don't know what else that could be. I'm trying to think of any others that would tap into sci-fi. But, see, I wouldn't even consider that sci-fi either. Yeah, I'll stick with Jason X. Cause,
I'm going to give you one more clue, because
okay.
I'll tell you it's not Jason X. I will give you that. Somebody thought something else was sci-fi, sort of, kind of.
Part 7? Because, like I said, I don't really consider that super, like, sci-fi. And I can't think of another that's really leaning into that. What the fuck are they talking about?
You would be right with 7. They consider it sci-fi powers.
All right.
I'm not sure why either. That one really threw me off as well. Let's see here. I wish the 5-minute nap this movie lured me into, and this is from just Kelsey, lasted longer. But on my 3rd attempt at watching it, I was finally able to force myself to make it all the way through. This is one of the few supposedly iconic horrors in which I truly cannot find any redeeming qualities. We don't ask much of horror movies, just that they are scary and or fun. And if we're being completely honest, they only have to do one of those things marginally well to be watchable and somewhat enjoyable. This film does neither, and actually goes out of its way to avoid becoming even slightly interesting. It is completely unimpressive in every way. This is a 5-star review. People are like mean to Jason.
Go through it one more time.
Yeah, I kind of slipped up with my reading there because it was like jumbled.
That's fine.
It says, I wish the 5-minute nap this movie lured me into lasted longer. But on my 3rd attempt at watching this film, I was finally able to force myself to make it all the way through. This is one of the few supposedly iconic horrors in which I truly cannot find any redeeming qualities. We don't ask much of horror movies, just that they are scary and or fun. And if we're being completely honest, they only have to do one of those things marginally well to be watchable and somewhat enjoyable. This film does neither and actually goes out of its way to avoid becoming even slightly interesting. It is completely unimpressive in every way. And I can't read the other part because that would be a giveaway.
I would almost think they were talking about the original based on how it's coming off, as if he was getting ready to start watching these films and it just wasn't hitting him like it does other people. And I'm trying to make sure that I didn't miss any details that might be pointing to a different one. No, I'm going to stick with it. I think he's talking about the original. He just feels like that would be something you'd say about a number one, not a sequel.
You would be correct.
Boom!
Making me look bad off of Nightmare on Elm Street.
I mean, you did good. You only got, 3 wrong? The rest of them you got right. I think you were 16-3. Sounds right.
Okay, here we go. This is CF Billy, half star.
CF Billy.
The first sentence in this, stupid shit. No, I like stupid shit. Bottom of the barrel. I disliked almost every second of it. The moment Jason throws the guy through a window with like 500 miles per hour was fun. Nothing in this is worth anything. It's like they are trying to make it worse with every passing second.
Jason throws somebody out of a window at lightning speed, huh? And he said a dude. That's what's throwing me, because there's always one window scene that I can remember, but it wasn't a dude. Who the fuck did he throw out of a window? It's making me look bad. I can't remember my movies. There's a lot of victims. Window. Wait, no.
You have lifelines too,
Wait.
if you need them.
Hold on. Read what you said about the window thing again.
The moment Jason throws a guy through a window with like 500 miles per hour was fun.
Part 4. Because that's the one I was thinking of that I was wrong, but then I remembered he chucked that dude through a window, and then he walked through the window. Part 4. Final answer. If I'm wrong, shit.
That is correct.
Boom.
Kicking my ass on these.
He did a lot of window smashing in that one.
Jason likes windows. What can I say?
I always felt like, I have no proof of this, by the way, just for clarity's sake, but I've always secretly wondered if I might be related to the guy that played Jason in that movie. Because his last name is White. And I know that's not a prerequisite, but he also has some facial features that look a lot like one of my grandfathers. And I was like,
That would
that's
be
bizarre.
That would be kind of cool, though.
And I'm sure I brought this up on the pod before, but as I was exploring my family history, I'm related to Voorheeses.
That's even
Who'd
cooler.
have thunk it?
That's even cooler.
Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, that is fucking awesome.
I don't think I'm related to any Krugers that I know of.
You never know. You never know. Look into your family history. You'll go down the line and be like, holy fuck, there's a Kruger in my time, or my bloodline.
That would be.
And then it makes all the sense in the world now, you know?
It would. It would, actually. Here's one. It's a half star. Jasmine Bowyer?
Sure.
Bunny murder, drugs, and straight people doing sex. Worst 3 things ever. Funky intro theme. Only redeeming aspect.
This is part 3.
Damn. Got that one too. You are kicking my ass at this today.
And then you said the bunny thing, and I remembered a bunny, and the funky music is what clinched it. I was like, what? I'm a well of endless, useless trivia.
The worst one I've seen. Straight up could not tell what was going on from a visual standpoint through much of this. Very dark, badly cut movie.
Very dark? Huh. I might have to give that one to the remake because I don't recall any of the originals looking dark. Like, not to the degree that a lot of movies today are fucking dark. Like, I swear to God, man, we'll be sitting there watching a movie, and if a lamp is on, it's like, turn that shit off. I can't even see the movie. So, yeah, I'm going to say the remake because I don't know what other film he could be talking about.
Is that your final?
That is my final answer.
That one is incorrect.
What? Okay, so
Think-
one darker than that.
It's not completely dark through the whole movie, but there are a lot of scenes where it's dark. And Jason's not even in a big chunk of the movie. It's not the first one.
Jason Goes to Hell would have been my first.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been my other answer. Like, that's where I was leaning. But even that, I guess I don't remember the dark parts. But yeah, that's the only other one that really comes to mind because Jason X was bright as hell.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot about that movie
Ironically,
anyways.
being in space, it's the brightest one. Go figure.
Here's one. This is
Okay.
from Shmee, and it's a half star. This is a very short one. I'll give you another one if you need it. What is it with Friday the 13th and the worst plot twists of all time?
Worst plot twists of all time. I'm going to have to say part 5 because I can't think of another film with a plot twist outside of the original.
You are correct.
And even that was kind of like, you can kind of figure it out. They don't really, they're not subtle about their shit.
We'll get something on you here. We'll trip you up a
You
little.
got me one.
We'll trip you up somewhere where we can. Let's see.
Damn, Hell's Angels going down my road.
This one is a half star. This is from Eric, and it says, I knew that this movie would be absolutely ridiculous going in, and I thought it would be maybe ridiculous in the kind of way where I would love it, but it wasn't.
Read that one more time.
I knew this movie would be absolutely ridiculous going in, and I thought it would be maybe ridiculous in the kind of way where I would love it, but it wasn't.
All right, so he had expectations going in. So I'm trying to think, what could you immediately have an expectation of looking at the poster or the cover art? So Jason Takes Manhattan comes to mind. Jason X comes to mind because they both seem like some incredibly out there concepts for this franchise. I can't think of another. Well, if you knew what you were getting into with Part 7, I think you could maybe make that argument. The rest are pretty much by the numbers. Jason Goes to Hell is not, but yeah, that one could be on that list too. Shit. 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's where my guessing's at. Am I at least in the ballpark?
Yes, you are at least in the ballpark.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
I figured it had to be one of these crazy ones. I'm going to say Jason X because I feel like Jason in space, your expectations are going to be kind of low to begin with. So you're just like, yeah, whatever the fuck, sure. Maybe it'll be fun.
You are correct.
Bam.
Let me see here real quick. I want to count real quick. Everything you've gotten correct and everything you've gotten wrong. So
Okay.
we've done 13. You've only gotten 2 wrong out of the 13.
It's good, man. I mean, sucks that I couldn't get all 13 because that would have been perfect. 13 questions, 13 correct answers. Damn.
You're definitely doing better than I was the other day. Let's see here. Throw a curveball. Try 2 anyways.
Hey, 2 more questions and I have my opportunity to get 13 correct.
Ooh, we should do that. We should see if we can get to 13. I like that.
Okay.
I like that. I'm going to leave out certain parts of this because I think it'll make it too convincing. This is just from Rick, and this is a half-star review. I
How you
hate
doing,
this so much. Easily one of the worst horror films I have ever watched. The end is still the best thing about this movie. And I'm going to leave out this part, but I'm going to tell you this. And he says, and this one I found surprising. Tom Savini's worst effects job in this film and is an even bigger dick and a creeper in person. So he doesn't like Tom Savini. And he said this is some of his worst work.
Part 4, but I would hard fucking disagree.
That's your final answer. You have lifelines still, too.
Yeah, because you've narrowed it down at least between 1 and 4, because Savini only did effects for 1 and 4. Could be 1. Because, I mean, there's no fucking way you're going to sit there and say that about... Read it one more time.
I hate
Best you
this
can.
so much. Easily one of the worst horror films I have ever watched. The end is still the best thing about this movie. Tom Savini's worst effects job is this film, and is an even bigger dick and creeper in person.
I'm gonna say the original, because the ending of part 4 is nothing. It sets up nothing. But the end of part 1 has that jump scare that gets everybody.
Yeah.
If you've never seen it. So
Right, we just spoiled it.
Sorry.
Part 1?
Yeah, I'm gonna say part 1.
You are correct.
All right. See, I talked myself out of it. Good. Using that SMAT logic.
All right. This could be the 13th one, so I got to figure out which one I want to do here. Do that one. This one's kind of going to be hard, I think. So this is a half star. This is co_crazy_Chris. If I have to give this a negative rating, I would definitely. The worst movie, probably the top 5 worst movies of all time I have ever seen. Whoever decided to give this a green light deserves a life sentence.
I will need a lifeline on this one. I was going to try to do it without him, but...
Let me find one that won't be a dead giveaway. I'm not going to read all of this, but I'll read a decent amount of this.
Okay.
I have not been diagnosed with any degree of autism, but I struggle a great deal with tone when not even the filmmakers seem to take the movie itself, the film as their job and their work, seriously. I know if I give you this last part of this sentence, you will get it like that.
See, I feel like I'm missing a detail in these somewhere that something's not triggering because nothing's coming to mind.
I'll give you this one too. I won't read all of this one, but I'll give you this too. And then if you can't get this, I'll give you the one, and I'm sure that you can get it, no problem. It's crazy how the series has gotten to this point. It's at least better than a couple of them.
Okay.
And the idea is like the stupidest idea of all time. But it revels in its stupidity and takes full advantage of Jason killing people.
Okay. So, that narrows it down. That puts us... We're in sequel territory, for sure.
Yep, I'll give you that.
Under their belt, there is a concept that this person finds absolutely stupid, which, again, doesn't narrow it down completely, because...
That narrows it down to like 3, I think. 3 of the
yeah,
films.
I was going to say 3 is where it was
Part
coming
7, part 10, and Manhattan. So
I would say Jason Goes to Hell should be in there, too.
Yeah,
say
that's true.
That's 4. So all of Kane's movies, pretty much. Absolutely stupid concept. Fucking hated it. Worst movie ever. I mean, I've heard a lot of this shit from part 8.
Shit, I'll even give you this. This is shockingly bad. Literally 0 redeeming qualities. Like, people hate on this movie, and I don't think it's that bad.
And that makes me go to 8 because... And see, even Jason Goes to Hell is what fucks with me here. Because I know people hate that movie, but people hate part 8. I feel like Jason X, I don't want to say gets a pass, but I feel like there's some entertaining elements to it where people kind of let it go. Like the what is it, the face smash?
Yeah.
Like that's such a solid kill that people are like, okay, this one kind of goes up a little bit on my list because there's some pretty creative shit. It's ridiculous, but still creative and kind of entertaining. But to be just absolute dog shit.
Oh, decisions.
I'm torn between 8 and 9. I'm gonna say Jason takes Manhattan because I don't know what else. I don't know what other movie they could. That's just an educated guess on my part.
That is incorrect.
Yeah.
It was in fact Jason X.
Okay.
And the clue that
Damn.
I was going to say would give it away was, seriously, I don't know how many promiscuous co-eds and sleeping bags it will take to please me.
That could have been 7, though. I mean, there are 2 in that one, so I feel like the 2 should be the clue.
Let's do... This one might be hurting me. This might be an easy one for you, but I'm gonna try this one. This is from Blow Away Bill.
Hello, Bill.
Really had hoped this would have gotten better since the last time I watched it. Actually laughed out loud when I checked the director's page. What else would you expect from the man responsible for The Prowler?
Part 4.
Are you sure?
Final chapter. Almost positive. I'm pretty sure that's Joe Zito.
Your final answer?
Yep.
You would be correct.
Bam!
And that has given you 13. I want to count here, see how many I've asked you.
Okay.
So we have asked. You got 13 out of 15 correct.
Not bad.
I
Not
will
bad.
give you that all day.
Oh, thank you.
I did not see very many. Like I said, I was looking to try to find some funny things, but man, people are just
hateful.
they are like real hateful with this. Maybe it's because Jason doesn't talk or something. All the jokes about weed were probably the funniest thing about Jason getting high off of his weed stash.
Sure.
But I will applaud you because you know your Friday the 13th.
I should. I mean, if I'm gonna say that it's probably my all-time favorite slasher franchise.
And if we ever do video, I would love to. There's a game that I've been seeing these guys do where they show the masks from the different movies, and you have to name what movie it is based off of the mask. I think that would be another really fun thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Man, yeah. I don't have anything other than kudos to you, dude, because that was phenomenal.
Hey, I'm gonna throw out one last little bit here at the end. I'm sorry, it just hit me right now, but I just floated over and saw this little news bit pop up from Arrow Video. Apparently, the remake of Friday the 13th is getting a limited edition 4K remake from Arrow, coming out next week, matter of fact. So for all those September 17th,
It's
if
not-
you're listening.
It's not the worst movie.
No, I mean, you get what you get out of it. Like, if you've seen any Friday the 13th movie, just some of the more, like the first 4, the basic ones, that's it.
Pretty much.
You get that.
Yep.
I mean, he can't argue with it.
It does have one of the best kills in it, too.
Which one?
My favorite one, the guy gets the axe to the back, and then Jason pushes him down, and it comes up through his chest.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, Ramblers, what'd you think? Did you like Les's quiz? Did you like my quiz? Did you like all of our quizzes that we did? Let us know how you feel about this on social media at Horror Ramblings. If you've got a game that you want us to try or something that might be fun, pitch it to us. See what we can do. You can send us an email if it's got all these rules and regulations and whatnot. It might be a little too complicated for that, but, whatever. Whatever you need to do. Join us on Facebook or Discord. You can find us on Instagram. You can support us over on Patreon. You can give us those 5-star reviews on your favorite podcasting app. See if we posted any polls or questions over on Spotify. And if you need just one central hub for everything, all the links, pencilpaperproductions.com/horror-ramblings. And also links are down below.
And remember, guys, stay spooky out there, and happy Friday the 13th.
This has been the Horror Ramblings podcast. Join us next time for even
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.